I'm currently working on a project that requires a door slab that's 26.5 inches wide. That's not a standard size. The closest I could find at the store was 30 inches wide. So today I'm going to trim this 30-inch hollow core door slab down to 26.5 inches. The first thing I'm going to do is set my table saw to the correct width so that I can run the door slab through and make it the correct width. I've trimmed the door to the correct width for my project, but as you can see, the job isn't finished yet. What I need to do next is trim down this portion of the door that I cut off and refit it in here to fill out this space in the door. It's a 1 3/8 inch door. The inside measurement between these two panels is 1 1/8, so that's the thickness that I need this piece to be. Before I rip it down to the correct width, however, I'm going to first cut this to about 1 inch tall. I've set my table saw to 1 inch, which will cut this to just about the same dimension as this piece of wood right here. Now that this is an acceptable height, I will adjust my table saw to 1 1/8 inches and rip this to the correct width so that it will fit into the door. And if my calculations have been correct, this piece should fit just perfectly between the panels of the door. Next, I'm going to break these little pieces of cardboard and push them back at least 1 inch down so that the new filler strip can fit down in there. I've pushed back all of these cardboard pieces, and just to go the extra mile, I'm going to use a razor blade and scrape any glue residue off. This will ensure a nice tight fit of our filler strip. Next, I need to do something about this piece of particle board that's glued into the door. The manufacturer installs this piece of wood so that if you decide to cut out a doorknob, there's some solid wood right here to attach it to. But in this case, I don't need it. In fact, it's standing in the way of my end piece, my filler strip that I'm going to put in here. So I have a couple of choices. I can either cut 2 pieces of wood, one here and one here, and I won't have a solid smooth piece of wood here, but it will still be functional. Or I can try to cut this piece out. I'm feeling adventurous today, so I'm going to attempt to remove this. It's glued in there really well. I've tried to just pull it apart here, and it doesn't come loose from this outer veneer. It just splits in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. So it's some pretty solid stuff. What I've decided to do instead is use the table saw to cut it out. I've adjusted the table saw so that there's only 1/8 of an inch between the blade and this guide. That's the same width as the outer panel of that door, and I'm just going to run the door through it and cut out that piece of particle board. Here's what the door looks like with that piece of particle board filler removed. I don't know if it was the greatest idea because now I've got some little marks here from the saw. I should be able to fill that with some spackle or caulking, and it should look nicer than it would have if I left the piece of particle board in there, but it's still kind of a toss-up on whether to cut that piece out or leave it in there. Next, I need to take a measurement from here to here, and that will be the length of the strip of wood that I ripped earlier. $78.25. And I will cut that length with my chop saw. I'll just test fit this in here to make sure it's the right length, and it looks good. I'm going to apply some wood glue to both sides of this strip. Next, I can place the piece of wood into position. This strip of wood is now in a position that I like. It's flush with the edge of the two outer door panels. So the last step is to use some clamps and place them along the edge of the door, and I will allow it to sit overnight. I've allowed the glue to dry overnight, and now I'm going to remove all of these clamps. Here's what the door looks like after the clamps have been removed. The next thing I'm going to do is just touch up some of these sharp edges with an orbital sander with, I think this is 150 grit sandpaper. I've gone over the length of the door with my sander and smoothed out the sharp edges. The final step is to just touch it up with a little bit of paint. And that, my friends, is how to resize a hollow core interior door. Thanks for watching.